So, without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. If you have access to a yoga block or a small foam roller, let's go ahead and get started by coming down onto our back briefly. So, what we're going to do, if you have said object, and it's fine if you don't, you can still do the pose. Go ahead and place it between the knees. Let the torso release onto the ground. And if you haven't already, go ahead and place your hands somewhere on the space where your ribs and your belly overlap. And just take these next couple minutes, everybody, and check in. How does your body feel? What messages are you getting? What signals are coming in? What's the feeling tone of your body, and to some degree even of your psyche? I realize that in this virtual space we're sometimes toggling between paying attention to the screen and also then to our own internal responses. But just for the last 2 minutes here, really tune inward. Nothing to see on the screen for the moment. And center your attention with breathing sensations. So just as a reminder, it can seem like virtually nothing's happening, but we've set ourselves off into a purposeful shape, a deliberate position for your hands, We've set an intention to take our attention to breathing sensations. And further, we act as a curious, open, receptive witness to what bubbles up around the breathing. The wider scope. Everything else. Steady, easeful asana. A recognition of the presence of prana. The practice and experience of pratyahara, turning the sensory doorways inward. Dharana, concentration, placing the attention, in this case, with breathing. And dhyana meditation, that wide, ever-present witness that takes it all in. Last few full breaths here. Okay, everybody, so I'm going to shift into a little more screen focus for a second. So, that felt really good. Goodness. So, what we're going to do is just take the feet a little wider. If you're still working with block or, I'll just say any prop there, keep it. Feet are going to go wider, knees are going to stay like TP'd into the prop. And if you're without prop, maybe your knees are just going to be together. We're going to reach both arms up. Take the hands into soft little kind of domes and just rotate. You're welcome to have your eyes open or closed for this one. You're welcome to go slowly or quickly. You can let your arms really fall as much as they're able to into your sockets. Conversely, you could push your arms up a little more. But rotating. Okay? And then let your palms face the sky. So your hands go into a back bend. Your wrists are in extension. And then let your palms face forward. So your wrists are neutral. And then let your palms face downish. so your wrists are in flexion. And then curl the fingers in. Oh my goodness. So now everything's in flexion. Wrist, hand, fingers. Up. Neutral. Back bend. Neutral. Forward bend. Plus fingers. Try a few more. Oh my god, that is intense. All right. Shake it out. Let's reach the arms back up, spread the fingers, and then just let the arms cross the midline. And as you do so, you can alternate which arm is closest to your block or which arm is closest to your head. They don't have to cross very far. They could, though. Bigger crosses, if you got the room. Last couple. Okay. And then release that. Then please open the arms like a cactus shape, kind of like a little bit like a W. A little bit like two L's. The W, the elbows are in tighter. The L shape, the elbows are basically straight out from the shoulders. So either variation's okay. Wow. It's been too long since we've cooked in this guy. So, you all with me? All right. Forearms are trying to release back and down. Mine don't get all the way to the ground, but I'm working on it. Keeping the head neutral. Keeping the torso neutral. Keeping a little squeeze on that block. Now, if you're in the position where your forearms in the back of your hands and 10 fingernails can all rest on the ground here, awesome. Good on ya. Just hang out there. If you're in the floating position, that's where I personally am right here, right now. Elbows are on the ground, but those hands never quite make it. My lack of flexibility stops me from going all the way to the floor. So now from here, everybody, we're going to keep the elbows essentially where they are. They might rotate or move a tiny bit, it's no problem. But you're going to let one arm, and hence one shoulder, rotate inward, downward, forward, so that this cactus arm points in the opposite direction. Instead of palm up, fingers facing your head, it's palm down, fingers facing your feet. And then switch. 10 more in each direction. You're keeping the shoulder blades pretty much flush to the earth. Not trying to crank on the wrists at this point. Really just letting that rotation emanate from the shoulders. And feel completely free to stop just right when you feel a little edge, not trying to push too hard. I don't get to the floor in either pattern, the downward or the backward. Last couple. Oh, God, that feels so good. All right. Let's release that, everybody. I promise we'll get off our back soon. But not quite yet. Let's reach both arms up to the sky. And then lower one arm toward your feet and lift one arm along your ear. Switch arms. Then begin to let the head turn toward the down arm. So as one arm transitions from high to low, the head turns away from the high and toward the low. Couple more. Last one. Then please come back to the center with your head and with both arms. Walk your feet so they're as wide as your knees. If you're working with the prop, we're going to keep the prop. I know it's been a long hold. Hopefully it hasn't been too taxing and actually confers a lot of benefits. Keep that. And extend one leg straight so the two thighs remain level, but the legs straight. Not 90 degrees at the hips, still probably 60, 70. But you've ironed out the back of the knee, very different angle. And switch. And you can do this with legs squeezed together, but there is something kind of nice about having that prop to refer to. And to have to squeeze into the whole time. 6 more per side. Last couple. Try to keep breathing through your nose. Keep your trunk pretty much fixed to your mat. So you definitely are going to feel some stability and some strengthening through those trunk muscles. Last one. Leave the leg out there, just one of them. And point and flex your foot. Okay. Release. Last one. Leave the new leg out there. Point and flex your foot. Okay. And then release. Now, please, with your arms laid out along your side, reach them mainly downward, but a little bit outward, so you can really get these like opened up collarbones. Press your feet strongly downward into the earth. Tilt your pelvis, areas covered by modest underwear, tilt your pelvis backward more. So you get a little even more flush to the ground. And then really squeeze your glutes and lift into a very robust but low to the ground bridge. And then lower her down. And if you're clutching at your hamstrings, for whatever reason, your body, kind of probably activated hamstrings a little more than glutes, and there's a little bit of a shocker. So maybe adjust your feet a tiny bit further forward. Keep the object. We're going to keep these adductors working. Just another couple minutes. You want to do a backward tilt to your pelvis. Glute power, activate. And then bridging up. I don't know about y'all, but on those old Saturday morning cartoons when all like the superhero crew would get together, for whatever reason there were those Wonder Twins. They always seemed pretty like, I don't know, not so impressive. But they did have that Wonder Twin powers activate. So you want your glutes to be like the Wonder Twins. And oh man, and they activate every time you're doing these bridges. Four more, everybody. We're trying to get to, somewhere between 8 to 12 reps. Just kind of allotting for different speeds out there. With adduction. The Wonder Twins activate. Cheek right and cheek left. And then come on down. Last sequence of bridging. Let's put the last two exercises together. You guys probably know what's coming. One leg forward. Bridge. Damn. 6 times. Wow. So the Wonder Twins, one of the twins is gone, essentially. You do only have the one leg to bridge with. You still have the other cheek there. It can work if you want, but it's got no leverage really. Last one. And then, oh my goodness, those are so good. 6 on the other side, everybody. So it's bridge plus one-leggedness. And I mean, you kind of want it to take you to the max. So I'm not going to say bail on it if it's hard. Still do it if it's hard. But if you literally can't do it, then either you're bridging or you're one-legging and you're just doing, one of those pieces. Otherwise, 6 times. Many of you are already on your way. Maybe 2 or 3 reps in. You're working a single leg bridge. with adduction. Last go. Wow, everybody, let's ditch the block. Hug the knees in. We're going to rest 2 flat feet on the floor. We're going to cross the right leg on top, figure 4. I have the needle, pigeon, so many different names for basically that same leg cross. And whatever leg is on top, you're going to twist in that direction. Or sorry, the leg that's on top, you're twisting the opposite way. So I've got right leg on top, I'm twisting left until that top leg foot hits the ground. Now, for me, at the moment, just feeling a little tension in the back. I mean, not bad, but the shoulder doesn't quite release onto the floor with this foot down. I suspect most of yours probably will. There she goes. And you just hang out here. 10 slow, deep breaths. Your arm is kind of at a clean diagonal away from your hip. Oh my goodness, that pose feels so good. Every breath you're looking for 5-ish. That's approximately a 5 count inhale and approximately a 5 count exhale. Now this left hand has 3 viable places you can hang out, draped across the ribs as breath enhancement, i.e., tune in even more to the sensations of breathing, especially in your ribs. And the other thing you could do with your hand, is make a tiny little adjustment in your crossed leg. You could encourage more external rotation, push the leg that way toward left foot, or you could do a little bit more internal and a little more twist and pull this way toward your shoulder. So to reiterate, left hand can manipulate hip in 2 distinct ways. Left hand can just hang out. And help you feel the breathing on another level. So to transition, go nice and slowly. Leg pile comes back to center. Reset. New leg on top, figure 4. If left leg's on top, then you're falling over to the right, letting left foot touch all the way down. Even if that means it pried the left shoulder up a tiny bit. Find that nice diagonal. And we're looking for about 10 breaths on a 5-5 count. And
really, in some ways, I think it's more accurate, even though it sounds looser. 5-ish. 'Cause, if you're closer to 4, closer to 6, all good. Just what feels like relatively slow breathing. Balanced breathing. Right hand on this side, y'all. Same set of options. Ribs. Hip that away. Hip this away. Generally, you want your head in a mild twist too. So probably looking toward outstretched left arm with eyes open or closed, but likely a little bit of rotation in that direction. Last 5 breaths. Gently, easily, slowly, everybody. Come back to center. Uncross the legs. Let's one more time. Flex to Apanasana. Last sequence from our back. It is definitely nice to have something to use as a contact point between hands and knees in this exercise. So the yoga block, a foam roller. And I don't expect you to just, have this a foot behind you. However, if you happen to have a good old Swiss ball, it works as an absolutely fabulous prop for this exercise. So, assuming you don't have one, I'll show you with it basically what would be a yoga block, kind of like this, or a foam roller. Yeah? So, for a moment, have right knee and right hand both contact your prop. And just feel it. You don't want the hip to totally dominate, and you don't want the arm to totally dominate. You want them to both work. Counter forces, oppositional forces, but really, they're teaming up. They're teaming up to provide strong, stable core muscles. It should be pretty clear. And release. Opposite side. So you've got a tabletop leg and basically a straight up and down arm, although it depends on how big your object is, your prop. Your lower body trying to draw in and out. Your upper body trying to flush down. The core stays tight. Your back stays flush to the earth. And release. Now let's try to go all 4. So keep your back flush to the earth. Tuck your chin. Trunk stays tight, moving toward hips. Hips stay tight, moving toward trunk. And release. That should feel like it's a pretty fair amount of work. Real quick, just in case anybody's got access to the Swiss ball, let's try that all fours one more time. So it's a press from the top. It's a press from the bottom. Those presses meet each other. Your core should be absolutely cooking during this. Now maybe you could do a diagonal. A left arm and a right leg. Oh, and come back to the core. A right leg and a left arm. Come back. It's really good with the Swiss ball, y'all. But assuming most of us probably don't have that, just coming back to here, making sure we're together. So if you're here, you do a diagonal. If you're here, you do a diagonal. So please try a couple more. Play with it. You know, if your block is, you're just using a yoga block, sometimes it's a little challenging to hold it. At any given moment of extension, you're holding a right on a left limb and you're reaching a right on a left limb. You're holding a right on a left limb and you're reaching a right on a left limb. All right, everybody. Let's shift up. That is some deep and efficient core work. So it's taking a pose, the dead bug, which I know it's just a terrible name. One that we do a fair amount of, and it's really concentrating on the strengthening part. You can't miss it. So when you're holding that block, hand to knee, or you're holding the big Swiss ball, you're just basically guaranteed stable alignment where you need it. Anyway, fabulous exercise. So we're up. We made it. Looks like we made it. Okay, moving on. Let's reach both arms forward. We went through this drill really quickly on our back, actually slowly on our back, but let's go more quickly now. Turn the dials. The reps will be quicker, but literally like your movements can be faster. To cross. We missed it on our back, the drum. The cactus. One cactus up, one cactus down. Awesome. Forward. And we did all the way up and down. And then we added to the all the way up and down, head away from the high arm. Head toward the low side. Oh, God, that feels good. Last couple. Awesome. Let's come back. Let's reach one arm out. Supinate the hand so you can hold something on your palm. Tilt your head toward it. Head back to neutral. Tilt your head away. And then fold the elbow or arm in and up. Just try 2 more on the side. So we'll do 3 per side. Head releases.
Head tilts away. Head releases. Head tilts away. Oh, God. All right. And then let's switch sides. Open arm, palm up. Release. Folded in and up arm. Head away. 2 more. Last one. You slipped in a bonus there. Oh, that's good. All right, everybody. Let's come to that C-star shape. So you're going to take relatively wide stance with your feet. Let's say about as wide as where your elbows would go and your arms are out. You can pronate the hands so they're facing down. Squeeze your butt. Stabilize the core. Feel the rib cage stabilize. Obviously the muscles around the ribs. 5 big breaths here. Strong active legs. Your kneecaps are pulled up by your active quads. Inner thighs are working, even though there's some width there between the legs. It still feels like there's kind of some strong tension or some flexible tension, some dynamic tension. And torso's active, especially the front. Okay, then let's take the hands onto the hips and hinge from the hips until you feel that in the legs. And because the legs are a little wider, you might get some responses in the inner thighs. You'll probably for sure get it in the calves and the hamstrings. Feel your feet continuing to like work and like grip your mat. And then on an inhale, just from the hips, come up. We'll try that 4 more times. So simply a hip hinge. It's kind of a variation of Uttanasana, or a variation of what some movement folks refer to as good mornings, which is just this one particular PT, I think, that worked for a long time with some bicyclists and Armstrong, and came up with these simple movements to just like keep your spine in extension, so not like you're rounding over a bike, and only hip hinge. All right? So 3 more times. It's actually a great, great exercise. So your spine's moving as one singular unit, hinging off your hips. That's the whole idea. Damn. Last one. Now on this last one, we're going to stay at the bottom. Oh, man. That stretch just feels way more intense than it often does. So because we're really working the legs as part of it. Oh. Now from here, everybody, we're going to transition into a lunge. So you're going to turn and find a lunge. So to be clear, I've got a left foot forward and a right foot back, so that's where the cues will come from, but whichever way you wound up is fine. Now from here, everybody, we do this one at a time. Push and pull your lunge. Then when you're ready, right, we're going to come back to center and then go to the other side. So this is now our right foot forward with our push and pull. And the policy on the push and pull is pretty liberal.
You can have your hands on a block. You could have your forearms down. You can lean into the push more. You could lean into the pull more. You can vacillate evenly between the two. Oh, you can shorten up your stance a little for the pull and lengthen your stance for the push. Oh my God. All right. One more time. Back to side one. Mindful transitions as you spiral all the way to the new side. So to be clear, we're round 2, side 1. Now find a nice stable version of the lunge where it feels like your back leg and your front leg are both working. Then prop your hands up onto your front thigh. Couple things here, everybody. Your front leg, let it cue slightly out towards your little toe. Just a little bit. Your back leg, let it turn in slightly, more towards your big toe. Then reach both arms forward. Then keep the right arm, or whichever one matches the back leg, keep it along your ear and reach the other one down along your tail. It's one of my favorite lunge shapes. Couple big breaths here. So you're trying to reach an arm, lengthen your ribs. But you're also trying to reach an arm and stay long with your tail. You want some stability in the front of your trunk, but you also want mobility and length and traction. Your back leg has extension with inner spiral. Your front leg has flexion with outer spiral. One more big breath here. Oh, both hands down. Slow mindful transition to the wide part of your mat. And last time, second side. First time we're getting all the way up into the lunge. Set it up. Hands on the thigh. For a moment, we'll take both arms along the ears. Front leg's got a tiny bit of external spiral. Back leg's got a little internal spiral. Keep that left arm, or whatever one matches your back leg, along your ear. Send the other one packing down along your tail. Ribs stay strong. Spine stays long. One more full breath here. Then we're going to come down to plank position and hold. So if your plank has a really weak spot only in your wrists, come onto your forearms. If your plank game is really strong, practice lifting a hand or a foot. If you'd rather, you can rip out some push-ups. And then everybody, let's come down onto the knees. Get a stable tabletop, also known as a stable top. Okay. Remember to cut that. Terrible joke. All right. I might leave it in. All right. So from here, everybody, we're going to tuck toes. Hands are under shoulders. Knees are under hips. This one's juicy. Come just off your knees. Lift one foot. Slowly straighten that leg behind you. Oh. Release. So the knees are just barely off the ground. One foot lifts. That leg straightens. Come back. Release. Sort it out for a second. So if you need to shake it out, I don't think I've ever taught that exact move. So I know tons of times, many times, we've been in tabletop with knees on the ground and we've taken a limb out. That's just like classic bird dog. This is getting a knee off the ground, then taking that limb out. With the opposite knee, also off the ground. One more time per side. This guy's juicy. Knees barely lift. So your back still looks like a table. One leg tries to straighten. Your hips might have to lift a little bit just because it's so intense on the leg, not only that straightens, but the leg that stays in table. Oh, man. That's so good. All right, everybody. Let's come to a seat. Let's post up the hands just behind the shoulders or behind the hips. Post up on the feet. If your wrists are immune to this thing, you could come back onto your forearms. Otherwise, find a shape for your hands that either allows them to turn outward or backward, kind of whatever feels better. And lift up your hips. Squeeze your butt. Press down your feet. Tilt your pelvis more backward. Oh, and down you come. Let's try that one more time. Then we're bringing her all the way down. Bent knee Purvottanasana. Up you come. You want sufficient strength in your arms, but you really want to hold this with your midsection and your butt. So Wonder Twin powers activate again. And really fire the right and left cheek. And then down you come. And please roll onto your back. And from there, much like we did in the beginning of class, but without a twist, take your right leg on top, figure 4, but draw in. Oh. And then just feel how you meet that resistance. And do you want to divide it? Or do you want to multiply it? You probably want to divide that tension rather than multiply it. I know it's not a math problem, but I think you get the metaphor. Right? When you feel that first little bit of resistance in your right hip, do we add to it? Do we tense our shoulders? Do we tighten our jaw? Do we shorten our breath? Do we furrow the brow? Do we kind of mentally resist? Or can we soften the brow? Can we breathe into it? Can we meet that little bit of resistance? Maybe with a sense of gratitude. Like, ah, great, I'm glad my body can move that far. And it changes the quality of it. Framing goes a long way. So let's, oh my God, that feels good. Let's slowly switch legs. Hug in. The pose looks the same, but it's a new hip, and your left and right side haven't lived the exact same movement patterns all their life, so the sensations could very legitimately be quite different on this side. But we can still work on how we respond to that tension. Soften where we can in all those secondary and tertiary spots in the body. And then when you're ready, everybody, please release that. Oh, my goodness. And then we're going to open up into Shavasana. So, you'll know the pose. Find your favorite variation on the theme, but if there's any doubt at all, do just go for a nice, long, open, neutral Shavasana. If you know your body's far better off with calves on a chair, that's fine. But we did, kind of a lot of tabletopping actively today in this session, so just find a nice, open, neutral corpse if that suits you. Do take the first few moments of the corpse pose experience to mindfully set your pose. Sometimes it takes a little squirming and fussing and adjusting, and sometimes it's just right there. I don't really feel like I need to make a single adjustment. But I'm tuning in to just how neutral and balanced and comfortable and peaceful the whole thing feels. And then really, once that thing's dialed, just set sail, just float, just let go.
Tasya padena visham malam shirasya savadyakena yopa karutam pravunam muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi bahu parushakaram shanka chakrasidarinam sahasara shirasham svetam pranamami patanjalim hare om hare So that is a little shout out to yoga's great codifier, Patanjali. He was thought to have lived somewhere around 2,000 years ago, give or take a couple hundred years on either side. That's kind of a rough estimate, but right about there. And it's highly probable that he was collecting and writing down short, terse statements called sutras about a yoga practice that was already in existence. It seems unlikely that it all came from his head. But the writings are clear. They're short and terse, so they're meant to be elaborated on. So in some ways they can easily be expounded upon. But there it is in writing, several thousand years ago, yoga. And its eightfold path, in which asana is the third of 8 elements. Pranayama, or breathing exercise, is the fourth of 8 elements. Pratyahara, that inward turn, those sensory doorway shifts that we worked on in the beginning of our session, that's limb 5. Dharana, concentration, single-pointed attention, that's limb 6. We worked on that. Dhyana, wide open mind, more meditative attention. We worked on that. Samadhi, moksha, sort of full body, full mind enlightenment, just total contentedness. Eudaimonia, to use the Greek term, that's limb 8. Anyway. So, if you haven't already, please come back to a seat. And just in closing, reconnect to your breath one more time. And please feel free to participate vocally or just listen. But let's try one closing Om sound together. So please start with a big inhalation. Sound it out. Thank you for connecting over the interwebs. Namaste.